Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing very well. I hope you're enjoying the nicer weather and things are warming up quite nicely. Our semester is puttering right along, and as you might be able to guess, we've got things to do. We've got things to do. And our first big teaching project, our first teaching lesson is coming up. And we're going to talk about that this class. But we're also going to talk about continuing with the ease of a lesson. I think that's a helpful explanation of different phases, different ways of thinking about our lessons. And then also, we'll be going into intonation, a quite important part of English pronunciation and with Korean pronunciation as well. Intonation. Intonation is the music. Think of it as like the note, the pitch, the pitch. We have low intonation, high intonation, things going higher and higher and higher, and then things going lower and lower and lower, lower and lower. And intonation carries meaning. Now, English and Korean are not tonal languages, like say Mandarin or Cantonese. In tonal languages, words are different depending on the tone, as in different words and different vocabulary, not just meaning within the word itself, but entirely different vocabulary. So it's something to pay attention to. But we do have, the intonation is a way of conveying meaning. Let's take a look at this sentence here. She got a dog. 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 The first, we see the first being that she got a dog is a regular statement, but it being a question, she got a dog, we can hear that the intonation is different. She got a dog, she got a dog, and then with the exclamation point, of course, it's different intonation as well. She got a dog, a cat, a rabbit, and a monkey. She got a dog, a cat, a rabbit, and a monkey. She got a dog, a cat, a rabbit, a monkey, a koala, etc. So, depending on what we're saying, we use different intonation. These are things to be aware of. So, intonation is the rise and fall of the pitch, the tone of our voice, the notes, if you will. Stress, we think of volume, of length of the word, of the utterance. Intonation is the pitch, the notes. I'm not very musical myself, so it's something I have that. So we have intonation patterns. For statements, just regular statements, rising on the second to last syllable, then falling. So the second to last syllable, then falling. So, I went to the movies last night. I went to the movies last night. So, I went to the movies, let's see, second to last. Night, last. So, last is the second to last syllable. Did I really not have a... It shouldn't be. Is the second to last syllable. So, it goes up and then down. I went to the movies last night. I went to the movies last night. Just like that happy arrow. Negative statements. Rising on the second to last syllable, then falling. I didn't go to the movies last night. I didn't go to the movies last night. I didn't go to the movies last night. Now, obviously, we see that intonation goes with stress. I need to place stress here, saying on the negative, because it's a very important word in this utterance. I didn't go to the movies last night. I didn't go to the movies last night. And do your homework. Do your homework. Do your homework. Once again, rising and then falling on the inside, on the back side. Do your homework. But for questions, we have different intonation. Rising on the second last syllable and falling. Where did you go last night? Where did you go last night? Where did you go last night? And often these WH, the information questions, they'll have, where did you go last night? We have rising and falling. Rising and falling. Where did you go last night? What did you do last night? Who did you see last night? When did you get back home? When did you get back home? Did you go to the movies? 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 Yeah, so yes/no questions always have rising intonation. WH questions, or questions in general, are much noted for their rising intonation. And in North American English, that's especially true. It's a speech habit of, say, Australians. They generally speak a lot more in rising intonation in their regular conversation, their regular speaking habits, which makes it sound like they're always asking questions. So, it can be unusual, and it can be kind of uncomfortable to talk with Australian people because it sounds like everything they're saying is a question. And I'll see if I can find a clip showing this example. And so sometimes it's weird. Open choice or open-ended questions will be rising, rising, rising till the end. Did you go to the movies, play games, stay home? Did you go to the movies, play games, stay home? Did you go to the movies, play games, stay home? You'll notice, though, of course, with my phrasing, you can hear how I'm not saying, did you go to the movies, play games, stay home? Did you go? Did you? Did you? Did ya? The did you becomes reduced into the did ya? Did you go to the movies? Did you go to the movies? Did ya? And that's a very, very common with native speakers. If we start speaking faster, we start reducing sounds and combining things. Did you go to the movies, play games, stay home? And then for close-ended list, as in there's a definite ending, we have rising, rising, and the last choice is falling. Did you go to the movies, play games, or stay home? Did you go to the movies, play games, or stay home? Did you go to the movies, play games, or stay home? So we see rising, 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 falling. Question tag questions. These are words we put on the end of the sentence to make it a question, right? Okay, aren't you? Didn't you? Isn't that right? Confirmation questions. We need to make sure. So these are falling. So you went to the movies last night, didn't you? You went to the movies last night, didn't you? You went to the movies last night, didn't you? And then when we're not sure, these are always rising questions. Class will finish soon, right? Class will finish soon, right? Class will finish soon, right? So we have the tag question has rising intonation. And then, yeah, just so the statement before, the non-question part has the regular, why is that like that? Has the regular rising and then falling intonation like the other ones. Linking is another thing to talk about. And that you gave an example of, I gave you an example of with the did ya. We see, I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. But if we say that fast, that's not I want to leave. It's I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. She's going to leave. She's going to leave. She's going to leave. What does that become? She's gonna leave. She's gonna leave. She's gonna leave. We can even, she's gonna leave. She's going to leave. And then I don't know easily becomes I don't know. I don't know. Wanna, gonna, dunna. These are not grammatically prescriptive correct things. It's not how we should write, but it's how people speak. And that's quite common. Don't worry about making this, about producing these linking things, these utterances. Don't worry about linking in your own speech until you can speak English correctly very fast. Because linking is to make things faster. If you speak English slowly, then linking sounds very awkward. We have the I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. If we say I want to leave slowly, I want to leave, it sounds bad. It sounds, to be perfectly honest, it sounds stupid. It's something linking is done when we are speaking fast, and this happens in every language. But we don't link when we speak slowly. When we speak clearly, we do not link. So she's going to leave. She's going to leave. She's gonna leave. It carries a different idea about the speaker. And for now, don't worry about producing linking, but it's important for you to know what linking is and to recognize it, and that it's not incorrect speech. It's perfectly natural speech. But when it comes to a writing test, it's not. We're going to have a hard time. With that, let's put a button on our pronunciation and go back to lessons and lessons planning. Last time, we started talking about the ease of lessons, and this is just one way to conceptualize lesson planning and different parts of a lesson that I thought might be helpful. If we've talked about for elicit, engage, and other E's, and now we're going to move on to explain and other phases, and we'll see a physical, my words are not working today, a visual representation of these E's in a lesson plan form, so you can see the sequence, and you can see another example of a lesson plan. All right. So explain, during this phase, during this stage, so the students, they started learning the thing. They started learning the objective, and they started practicing it themselves. Explanation is when you bring things back together, and you need to basically make sure that they're not misunderstanding. So you need to check and ask questions and use what they've learned to develop it further to better their understanding of it. So before they were working in small groups or individually using the target learning objective for target language for us, for our class. And then explain, you bring it back up and you start doing things together to make sure everyone understands the basic concepts, and you start expanding more, letting students show off their productions, their own language that they've made, their own language productions, their own sentences, their own examples. And then you're able to correct and explain in that phase. Elaborate. I can't talk today, I'm sorry. Elaborate. Students here can work independently to demonstrate what they've learned. This is where they formalize and apply their learning. So this time, the blinders are taken off their eyes, metaphorically, and the training wheels are off. All the scaffolding is removed, so to speak. And this is independent practice. This is where they're trying to really use the material in their own way and incorporate it into their background, their former knowledge, and use it as part of their new corpus of words and techniques. So this can be homework, or it can be, if you have time, in lesson as well. Then also there's extend, and this is trying to apply what they've learned and to keep applying it into new situations. So in future language lessons, you're going to make sure that you're using previous lessons material so they keep practicing, keep using it, and keep building upon it. And then evaluate. Each phase you're going to have informal evaluation, and of course, because you're going to see how students are doing, you provide feedback. But it's also nice sometimes to have, a bit more formal evaluation session of this might involve peer or self-assessment or marking, grading themselves, some questioning, some quizzes to help establish if the students are actually understanding the concepts or if they're not. So it will happen where you explain something, you teach something, and turns out 90% of students do not understand the basic idea of what you're trying to teach. And when that happens, it's not the student's fault. If that many students don't understand, that's the teacher's fault. So evaluations are, we always think that it's very stressful for the student, but evaluations are one of the best ways to make sure that the students are actually learning, that they're actually understanding what's going on and what's being taught. So tests are a great way to make sure that you spot these mistakes, these gaps in knowledge, and you can fix them before they become major problems, before it's too late. If we look at the screen right here, we can see this is another example of a lesson plan. This one isn't a formal document, but I think this might be helpful for us to visualize what's going on. The same information is just laid out in a different way, and there's nice happy arrows. So these are the E's of lesson planning. So big picture, what's the most thing being talked about? Resources. What do you need to do the lesson? What things do you need? Learning outcomes. And so at the end of the lesson, what will the students be able to know, to do, all those things? And for these little boxes in each, these little gray boxes, these are how many minutes of the lesson. So elicit, what do they already know? So what are you going to do for that? This would be about 1-2 minutes. Engage, trying to garner interest. Explore, first-hand experience to build concepts. Explain, elaborate, extend, evaluate. So if it helps you to write in this kind of format, that's fine, but I wanted you to see a different way of doing a lesson plan. Once again, this you're not going to be able to do a lesson plan and give this to your school principal. It looks like a student worksheet, but if this helps us better understand the flow of a lesson, I think it's quite nice. For now, we don't need to worry about this. It's for other things. But here, this is also quite nice. Thinking about personal learning and thinking skills. Will your lesson be able to work with creative thinkers or effective participators, independent inquirers, reflective learners, self-managers, team workers, as in different student personalities and student profiles? Are they being engaged through your lesson? And if not, then you can think about adjusting things. And then also different learning styles, visual learning, auditory learning, kinesthetic learning. Things are different intelligences, different learning styles being engaged. If one learning style is only being engaged across all your lessons, then that's something to think about and to adjust for. So I do like this little section here. So it forces the teacher to evaluate what styles of teaching and engagement you're using in your lesson, and also who does this lesson appeal to? As in, what kind of student is this going to be working with? And that's a nice thing to think about as we're making lessons. Big project. It's time to talk about your first major project for this class. It's a video lesson. We've been doing this for several years, and when we were all on campus, we had this as a group project. But last year, because thanks to COVID, we made them smaller lessons and they're individual, which is both a good thing and a kind of bad thing. It's good, it's shorter, for one, in that it's shorter because it's still a lot of work. But before, students as groups had to make 15-minute lesson videos. That's a lot of time. 3 minutes, around 3 minutes, that's pretty doable. And it lets each student individually practice everything. When you're working as a group, you have to specialize into different roles, and not everybody's doing everything. So here, it's a nice thing doing individually. Your individual efforts are rewarded, so you will earn the grade that you will earn. So in today's materials, there is going to be a list of different chapters with functional language and target language, or content language, as we remembered from our sentence stress lesson. And those, you'll need to choose one of the chapters that you're going to teach, and you'll make a short lesson teaching it. And I'm going to provide you a link with an example. You're going to post this onto eClass. There'll be a thing there, but make sure that we have everything taken care of. Make sure you have your name easily displayed so I know who people are. Good. To help you simplify your lessons, you're not teaching 12 content words. Make sure you can cut down your content language to 3 words and your functional language to a single one phrase. This will help things move along. You will need to make a lesson plan for your video. That's quite important. Make sure, please upload your video to YouTube as an unlisted video and put a link in your video in your submission on eClass. This will make everything easier for everybody. Now, how are you going to be graded? Now, all the material, all the things to help you along will be on eClass. So make sure to check that out. Check out the example. And this is what you're going to be graded on. Your lesson plan. Does your lesson plan make sense? Does it have a purpose? Is it clear? Is it understandable? Does your video have every part? Introduction, pre-teaching, teaching, activity, review, closing. Is your lesson material correct? Are you teaching correct English? Are there errors in your material? Like spelling errors, spelling mistakes, grammar mistakes? Be careful of that. Make sure your things are correct. We can't teach students the wrong thing because then they have to unlearn it later on. That's more work. Your voice and presentation on camera. That's why we had the introduction video, just to start warming up. If your video looks bad, you're going to get a lower score. If I have to look up somebody's nose to watch you teach, you're going to get a lower score. If I can't see your video or hear your video, you're going to get a lower score. Quality here does matter. Make the best of what you can do. Do the best that you can do and make it look good and sound good within your own abilities and circumstances. So try to make sure things are framed correctly. Your presentation ability also, your lesson materials will play a role. If you're just holding up paper that I can't read as an audience member, that's not good enough. You have to be your material, what you're teaching, has to be viewable and easily viewable by the audience. So please bear that in mind. And then, of course, your presentation ability, your poise, how you're teaching. Those are all important things we're going to have to bear in mind. These are important parts of being a teacher. On eClass, we'll have the exact dates. It is now week 7, Monday, when you're watching this. Videos will be due by the end of week 10. We're going to break this down. So first, you're going to choose what lesson you want to teach. And then you're going to make a lesson plan. plan out what you want to do, and then you will make your lesson. So we're going to break this down piece by piece to help move you along and get you thinking about your lesson, about what you want to do, what you can do within the time as well. That's always something to bear in mind. There'll be an example video of lesson, and then we'll stay in touch over eClass. Have an excellent week. Thank you and goodbye.